Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video, there is a new top 1 team for the ranked mode of Harmony Challenge 6. As you can tell, we've gotten up to 20,100 points. And fortunately for me, I managed to beat the other people in my server to getting this score. Now, the team is going to be very similar to the team, which was the 19,800 team. However, there's also a version that will work with Harak rather than Athalia. The buffs, which you're going to select for the enemies, are going to be almost the same as before. However, rather than the ranged defense buff, this plus 500, you're going to deactivate that, but you're going to turn on this 800 over here. Basically that is going to be also a damage reduction type buff effect, but it is not going to be as bad. And I did 3 runs only, and people sometimes are clearing it on their first run. So this is a lot more of a consistent way to not only get 19,800, but to get 20,100 points. Apart from that, these buffs are going to be the same, and your ally buffs are the harp and the horn. So this is going to be the team formation, and like I said, it is also going to be runnable with Harak. Harak in place of the Athalia, and I apologize for a bit of the lag. My computer is having some issues right now, but this is basically the team comp with Athalia. And so you have Lenya behind the Athalian, Lily May and Lorson in the back with the Harmark spell, Athalia on the right, and apparently can also work with Harak on the right as well. Now, as for exclusive equipment upgrade, because this is the overall top 1 team, in my opinion, you're going to need to have all of these heroes at Supreme Plus minimum, and also add exclusive equipment plus 20. People have been trying like hundreds and hundreds of runs, like with Lenya at plus 10 exclusive equipment, and it hasn't been working. So you really do need to have everything pretty much maxed. But then after a couple of runs, you should be able to get the job done with this comp. And if need be, you can replace the Athalia for Harak, like we said, which is just Athalia in the same position as the Harak. So just to show you that to you guys. So here, swapping out the Athalia for the Harak in the same position, but this one is going to be even harder to pull off. However, it is still possible, so that is just something to keep in mind, but it will take even more runs. These are both the top teams, but the Athalia version is actually pretty safe, and I got on my 3rd try, and that is how we're in the rank 1 position. Okay, now guys, we're going to recap the other team options that will help you clear the milestone rewards, the 3 milestones, which is still some people are struggling with a bit. So the first team I want to talk about is from Fuchsia. Fuchsia came up with a great team using heroes that a lot of people would have built up. Here it is, main Festo in front of Damien, Illusion in front of Tassi, Bonnie and Lily May in the back with the Surging spell. You're going to have the Flute and the Harp. And the enemy buffs, they're going to have the harp because you have to give it to that. And for the mechanics, you're going to give them all the buffs except for the second buff on the top. They're going to have all of them. This team is consistently getting clears for people that other people, like the other teams, they were not able to clear. So this is a great option and one of the highly recommended ones. Another one from Elysion is very similar, basically the same heroes, but main Festo in front of Tassi, Illusion in front of Bonnie, Damien in between them, and this is going to be with the Storm Strike spell. You're going to choose the Horn and Harp for your own buffs, and this is going to have all the Harp enemy buff and all the mechanics except for the last mechanic buff on the second row. That is not going to be activated. And I think these are 2 of ones that I would heavily recommend and go for. But again, to recap, one of the teams which is doing really well for people is the one which I showed in my earlier video from Ken the Human. This is going to be main Festo in front of Bonnie, Illusion in front of Citrana, but you can replace Citrana for Tassi. People are doing better with Tassi in place of Citrana, and Sylvina in the back, Ludovic on the right with the Surging spell, and the enemy buffs you're going to select are the Harp, and all of the enemy mechanics except for the last one. However, the other way that people have managed to do it is selecting all the mechanics buffs except for the second buff on the second row, which I think is the initial defense boost, basically the initial damage reduction. That is the second buff on the second row. Deactivating that, having all the other mechanics buff, that can also work. So these are basically the things to keep in mind if you're trying the challenge missions. Those are the most recommended ones for the 3 milestones. Apart from that, as for the ranked teams, they're basically going to be the same as what I covered in my previous video where we made the first one on all the best ranked teams. And you can take a look at that video for some more ranked teams if you're trying to compete for the higher scores. But these were just to highlight 2 other great Milestone 3 teams, as well as an overall best new team getting 20,100 points, which we managed to get. And yeah, but as you guys can see, if you look back at the ranked leaderboard, the person who makes it there first is going to get that top position. So that is why you kind of have to stay up to date with what teams are going on and any progress. Now, when we look at now the overall top performing team with the buffs that have been selected, honestly, I do not think it can get any better than this. The only thing I could imagine is somehow if you're still able to also lock in this plus 500 range defense buff, then potentially that would be the maximum of 20,600. Then other than that, I don't think it will be possible. If you go for any of these defensive buffs here, that is way too much tankiness for the enemies. You will not be able to nuke through them. I don't think that's going to be possible. The harp is way too good of a defensive buff for the enemies, and that is why actually the milestone 3 rewards are so difficult. People are even sometimes getting 16,000 ranking points, but they can't complete the basic milestone 3 rewards, and that's because you have to have the enemies equipped with the harp. And so I think that was a bit of a design flaw, because the harp is the strongest overall buff. Forcing the opponents to have that for milestone 3 makes it very challenging. But yeah, so the only thing I can think of, if somehow someone is able to do again with the Thalia team, like I don't know how many runs, if it's even possible, but maybe 20,600 at some point would be possible. But honestly, I think 20,100 is pretty much nearing the absolute cap. I do not think it will be much easier to get higher than this, but we do have a lot of days left. And, well, actually, how many days do we have left? We have 4 days left. I'm assuming, is the ranking going to last for 4 days? When do the rewards get distributed? I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it. Hopefully this is helpful. Let me know if there's any other team that worked for you. Feel free to share it in the comment section. But thank you guys for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're not always subscribed. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Also, feel free to join my AFK Journey Discord server to chat with me more and with our community more. We have a lot of active members there. The link to that in the description of this video. But thank you for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.